Good morning. This is Mark of the Wicked Edge Expert Corner Group and YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is public. The Expert Corner Group on Facebook is a private group, and I invite anybody who wishes to join to join. What we do here at the Wicked Edge Expert Corner Group, what I do here is I try to share with you my experiences using Wicked Edge. I started with Wicked Edge back in about 2015, and it's come a long way, and that was the impetus to start first the Facebook group, because Wicked Edge sharpener is a guided sharpener. First, let me say, what is a guided sharpener? Well, first of all, there's a lot of different kinds of guided sharpeners. And for me, what happened was, in sharpening, there are so many different ways of sharpening, all the thousands and millions of different shaped knives and kinds of knives across the world. And it's a picked up thing, sharpening. We learn to sharpen knives because we want to have a knife that cuts well. And it's a personal thing. It's very subjective. The person judging the sharpness of the knife, it's subjective. So it's very individualized, and there's a lot of different sharpeners. And what a guided sharpener does is it helps you by taking out of the sharpening process all the different things. When you're sharpening, you have a stone. Usually the stone is set flat on the table. So that right there removes something from sharpening. If you're holding a stone and you're holding a knife in your hand and you're going like this, everything is floating and there's no relativity. It's just like the stones. It's when they use sharpening steels, it's very theatrical, and it does work and it does do something, but it's hard to see what you're doing because this side's moving, this side's moving. So first thing, when you set the stone flat and you move the knife across the stone, now you're guiding the knife. So that really is the first guided sharpener, when you put something down. Well, what I did was, the guided sharpeners that I did, they set the stone, but they set it at an angle. The first one I started with was a Sharp Maker triangular stone that puts your stones at an angle and you pull your knife down on it. And that is a guided sharpener in the broadest sense. Well, what I looked for and I started looking at was I had sharpened stones on flat stones, and I was doing pretty good, and I would get some knives that were just screaming sharp, and then the edge would go away. And I couldn't figure out how come it went from being so sharp to being an edge that wouldn't cut paper in just a matter of a couple strokes. And I came to realize that how that knife edge crosses that stone is very important. Hence, guided sharpening, to get that angle consistent. So I started looking when I got pretty good at sharpening, and I bought a few knives that were pretty sharp, and I wanted to learn how to sharpen better. I started looking into sharpeners, and what I saw were fixed position, guided angle sharpening. And I take the time to spell it out, to speak it out, fixed position, because that's what I'm working with Wicked Edge. That's what you guys are working with Edge Pro and with the Work Sharp and the TS Profs. You're setting the knife in a fixed position, and then you're using an angle jig to pull the stones across the steel. That's what we do with Wicked Edge. It's a fixed position guided angle sharpener. And what that does is that allows you to have your hands free. Your knife is locked in a position, and now you use your hands to control how the stone crosses the edge of the knife in order to put that bevel and a keen edge and a sharp knife. So all guided systems, all fixed position guided systems share that same issue, that when you clamp a knife, hold it in your hand or whatever. You started with that flat stone. I said you're holding the stone in your hand, you're holding the knife. The knife is free to touch the stone anywhere you want it. Well, when you lock that stone in a Wicked Edge vertically or horizontally in one of the other sharpeners, it's being held by a clamp. Wicked Edge, it's held by a clamp. When you put something on that knife to fix the position, that is something that gets between the knife and the sharpening stones. All guided sharpening systems, fixed position guided sharpening systems, have that same challenge of being able to hold and clamp that knife securely so you can hands-free sharpen it and not have those clamps get in the way of your stone. All of them have it. And what the sharpener companies do is they get creative and they get more expensive, and they get attachments and adapters and angles and settings and extenders and things to broaden that clamping so that you can get closer to the edge of a knife without hitting that clamp. See, a freehand sharpener sets that knife right on that stone that's sitting on the table, and they're pushing that steel into that flat stone. So there's nothing between the stone and the steel. And it's how you angle it, and you get your fingers right on top of that. And you can get it almost flat. Well, with a fixed position guided sharpener, there's a clamp that holds that knife in that fixed position, and that bumps against the stone. So that limits how close you can get to that knife. And how close you can get to that knife limits how acute of an angle you can sharpen. So that is the biggest challenge that we have with the fixed position guided sharpener, is the apparatus that we use to hold the knife bumps into the stones. So ideally, if you can control that angle and you can sharpen on a flat stone, that's the best way to go, because you can change the knife, whether it's rocking back and forth or this way or that way, by hand pressure. Nothing gets in your way. The problem is consistency. There is a lot of room to change that each and every time, and it takes years and years and years of feeling to get that hold right. I couldn't do it to get to the level of sharpening that I wanted to do, which is why I looked into a fixed position guided angle sharpening system. I had ordered one of the single-sided sharpeners, and before the product ever arrived at my door, I came across Wicked Edge and I ordered that, and that's where I got started in about 2015, and I'm going to stop here. Thanks.